Hello and welcome to the Daily Dose. Today's discussion is on if your navigation needs to be calibrated or tuned. Maybe you can go an alternate path to get to your destination. And all is not lost if you are lost. I find navigation systems useful, but at times it can get confusing. I think I know the way, but I enter the route into my navigation just to be clear, just to be sure that maybe there isn't a better route, to be alerted of any updates of things that may slow me down. But sometimes I get redirected. It takes me far off my path. I get confused because I'm not familiar with the area, and I want to walk away, stop, go the way that I know, or do what makes me feel comfortable. And it got me thinking about how when we know what our path is, we're clear on what we want and on the things that we don't want, yet we get stuck in what's familiar. We keep going the same route over and over, even though we know that route by heart, and we can follow that path with our eyes closed. We know what to expect, but we keep going the route over and over. Like getting into relationships with people, accepting behavior that is inappropriate toward us, getting pulled down by negativity, by beating ourselves up when things go wrong, by needing to make other people feel wrong or right or better because we're not smart enough or good enough, or we was too dumb in what we chose to do. Sometimes you need to look at your navigation and see if it's outdated. You need to look to check to see if maybe the path that you thought was the right path was not. Maybe you need to listen, be still, and trust that you're going in the right direction. Maybe you need to recognize that it's okay if you have to take a different route. And it's even okay you traveling the same route and going through the same things, because it's getting you to the point where you'll learn a lesson and you want to do something different. Today's topic is about, does your navigation need to be calibrated? Are you traveling on a path that has dead ends, that has closures? Are you traveling on an old path that doesn't go where you thought it went? Sometimes in our lives, we do things and have experiences that leave us wrought with frustration, that have us scratching our head trying to figure out, now where do I go? What am I supposed to do next? What should I do now? What's going to happen? What do I expect? Is this really what I want? Is this where I want to go? How do I get out? What path should I be on? Is this the road to take? Many questions like that enter our minds. And sometimes we need to be still and listen to the answers that we already know. You know that little voice inside that's telling you the answer to the question, but you shrug it off? That little voice, the first one that you hear right away, the one that you hush, the one that you say, I'm not listening to it, that doesn't make any sense, I don't want to do that. The one that you rationalize, that little voice. Sometimes we need to listen and pay attention to the navigation. Allow ourselves to be recalibrated so that we can be on the right track. Look at the signs. Look at what's in front of you. Realize that you don't have to do what you've been doing just because you've been doing it for however long. It doesn't matter when you made a decision to stop. It doesn't matter what other people think. It matters about what you know, how you feel, and putting yourself first to show that you love yourself enough to do what's best for you. To be honest with yourself. Not just about being honest with other people, but be honest with yourself. A lot of people get into situations because they feel that they have trust issues. So I'm going to do what I know because I don't trust that this situation, this relationship, this person, this whatever is going to work out the way that I think it should, I need it to, or however you want to fix it up into your mind. Trust. Trust really isn't about trusting another person. Trust is about trusting yourself. When you say that you don't trust, you're really saying that you don't trust yourself. You don't trust your judgment, because in the past, your judgment caused you some sort of pain. Your judgment cost you some sort of indiscretion. And so we say we don't trust another person. How can you move forward if you don't have trust? How can you get to the next street? How can you get to your destination without trust? There has to be trust exercised at some point. You can't do everything on your own. And though we do, on a deeper level, know the answer to all of our questions, every deep-seated question that we could ever pose, we know the answer to it. But you have to trust. You have to trust that perhaps the navigation needs to be recalibrated. Perhaps I need to listen to that inner voice that says, I'm not ready. This isn't what I want. I'm not happy. I want to do something different. I'm a good person. I believe in me. I can do this. It can happen. Sometimes you just have to trust. You also have to look at the bigger picture. Because what you have to understand is that lessons are really a blessing. I know that sounds crazy because a lot of lessons that we get are lessons that we don't want, and we get hurt from it, and we don't want to even talk about it, and it's just hard to deal with all the way around. I get it. But the blessing really is in the lesson, because it's an opportunity for you to see the mistakes that you're making and correct them. And then if for some reason you didn't fully learn a mistake, or you didn't make the complete correction, and you get the lesson again, because most lessons that we get are repetitive and they're themes throughout our lives. Most lessons that we get are connected to relationships and to people, and most times they're the same lesson that we need. Think back in your life. Think back to your early relationships with people. There's always a theme that runs in our life of lessons that we need to receive. But you have to trust that this is what I need to go through. And when you start asking those questions about what am I doing and why am I here, when those questions start popping up, do I really want this? Am I really happy? Am I really doing the right thing? Those are your flash moments to show you that it's time to make a move, right? Because when you're content, you don't have those questions. When you're content, when you're where you feel you need to be, when things are in line, so you think they're in line, you don't have those questions. The need is not there to wonder about what else is out there. So you need to stop, think, and ask yourself the real questions. Pay attention to the questions. Pay attention to the real answers. Not the justified answers, not the immediate response, the immediate feeling that you have. Pay attention to it. What is it telling you? The immediate feeling. The immediate feeling. That feeling that you get in your core that comes up. That's usually immediately followed by any kind of justification or rationalization for it. Before that sets in, what is the feeling? Trust it. Trust yourself. Trust yourself and love yourself enough to do what's right for you. Fix your navigation. Your navigation is corrected, is fixed, can be recalibrated through trust. Do you really trust yourself? The trust really isn't about anybody else. Do you really trust yourself? And if you don't, why? What happened? What really happened to damage your trust? And if you don't have the trust that you need, how can you get to the next stage? How can you get to the next point? How can you get where you need to be without the trust?